I don't know. Maybe they'll do another split. They did a 3-to-1 split back here in 2017 around September, October, and the stock price was getting, it was about in the same neighborhood. Welcome back to another video, traders, and if you're new to the channel, welcome to Trading Trends. I'm TJ. We got a great video for you today. We're going to take another look at ISRG. I did a video on them at the request of one of our subscribers, Abel, a couple of weeks ago. They're hitting all-time highs, and they've continued to just be a revenue and growth monster up there with any company in the world, the best of the best. And I actually mentioned in that video that maybe they would be doing a split. Lo and behold, less than a week later, they announced that they would actually be doing a 3-to-1 split, which is exactly what I had predicted. They did another 3-to-1 split 4 years ago when the price hit about 1,000, and they're back at 1,000 again, and so they're following the same playbook. So it wasn't the most unlikely prediction in the world, but we're going to do a follow-up now based on that news and reevaluate and see now maybe if there's a new ceiling where we could go from here for ISRG. So like the video and subscribe to the channel, and let's take a look at the chart. Okay, we are going to be looking at the chart later on in the video, but I covered the chart pretty extensively in the video that I did a couple of weeks ago. So if you're curious about the entire technical breakdown, I even went back and looked at the last year or so. I've done a couple of videos on ISRG before, all at the request of this one subscriber who's really got a great eye for biotech stocks. And ISRG is probably the best one. They really are just an incredible company. So we're going to look at the chart a little bit later on in the video, but for this video, I wanted to take a look at some fundamental analysis factors because we've already really talked about the chart, and I kind of put a cap on the potential growth based on technical analysis. So now we're looking at other factors, mainly the split announcement. And so I wanted to get some other opinions. I went on Seeking Alpha, and I really didn't find too many articles, but the most recent one, an investor who's named Bradley Gouchard, he has been looking at ISRG for at least a few months now, made a bullish call back in May, and he actually did a pretty good analysis here of some fundamentals. So we're going to just look at that briefly before we get into the chart. So here's the article. This may or may not be publicly available. I have Seeking Alpha Premium, so I can't tell if this is a premium article or not, but it's called Intuitive Surgical versus Wall Street's Heavyweights, Highly Valued or Overvalued. And I think it's a good place to sort of come at because Intuitive Surgical does have a premium price tag on it, and is seeing significant growth over the past, just about any time period you want to look at. They've seen quite significant growth. So this first graph is just a price comparison chart compared to Amazon, Apple, the S&P 500, as well as Visa. So this top pink line here, this is Amazon's price growth going back to 2016. Intuitive Surgical here is second with 432%. Then we have Apple at 374%, Visa at 246%, and the S&P 108%. So very strong, even amongst the strongest companies in the world as far as growth. To give you a little bit of an idea, their main product is this robotic assisted surgery hardware, which is called the Da Vinci system. They've got about 6,300 of these installed, mostly in the US, which I guess this is a 10% increase over the previous year. This is, we're talking about US versus foreign sales. So right now, this yellow line here is the growth of their foreign revenue. It's up to 32% now. And this chart is talking about recurring versus one-time revenue. So revenue for 2022 was up to let's see, 76% of it is recurring revenue. So when I first started looking at this stock, I assumed that they're selling surgical equipment. That's sort of a one-time sale, but it turns out that they're actually doing a lot of maintenance on these machines, and I guess training services as well. Doctors have to spend thousands of hours. I think he talks, so instruments, accessories, and services, basically maintenance of these machines. So this revenue now is up to 76% recurring revenue. So they sell you a machine and now you're a customer. All right, it's not one and done, and that's kind of been the secret of their success, is growing that recurring revenue base. Profitability, so we're looking at margins here. ISRG is going to be the blue, and they're compared with Apple, Visa, and Amazon. So this is going back 10 years now. As you can see, fairly steady around the 30% mark. Visa, obviously, just the king of margins. We have Nvidia doing very well, Apple solid around 20%, and Amazon, slowly growing towards the end of the decade as well. A bit solid. This is another one that I very much like. This is leverage cash flow versus net income. So leverage free cash flow as a percentage of their net income. As you can see, they're doing very well in this metric as well, which I think is a good one, basically showing how much revenue they have left over, how much cash they have left over after everything's been paid for. 86%, this representative, most recently going last year 85%. So consistently excellent all the way around. All right, and to give you one more metric from this article, we're going to look at the short interest as well, compared to Tesla at 4.4%, Netflix 2.2, Visa 1.6, Nvidia 1.3, ISRG at 1.18%. Very similar to Facebook. Not quite as good as Amazon or Apple, but 1% short interest, percent of float. It's not a whole lot of people betting against this company despite the evaluation. So what are the risks to a company like this? Obviously, if there's a decrease in elective procedures, not as many people are using their equipment, the demand will go down. So when COVID hit, there was a lapse in revenue for that one quarter for sure. If COVID returns, that could certainly happen again. There was one other thing in this article that I wanted to mention, which is that, okay, here it is. The company has $1.6 billion remaining from its most recent $2 billion share buyback authorization. So that means that the board has voted to authorize $2 billion in share buybacks, and they've only executed on $400 million worth of that so far. So still 80% of that money is yet to be used, and it's already been authorized. So they can certainly, and they have a history of buying back shares going all the way back to 2009. So really, all the way around, just a stellar company. There really isn't a metric that you can look at that doesn't paint ISRG in a very positive light. The only argument that you can really make is it overpriced? And I think when you look at the things that we just covered in there, you can see that it's not. So you throw on top of that this split, which in this market, splits have been incredibly bullish catalysts. Now, most of that, I sort of split fever, I feel like has gone towards other big names that are well known, highly volatile stocks, and ISRG just doesn't really fit into that category, but it certainly could. And I think, let's see, so the split has been announced and it's going to occur on October 5th. So in the last video, that gives us almost 2 months for people to hopefully hear about this, maybe see this video, and find out about ISRG, because a stock like this isn't going to stay a secret forever, right? I mean, you got to think there's always certain moments for certain companies where they come into the limelight. And this is the kind of publicity moment where you would hope to get some extra momentum built into the stock price, because what we have right now is it's all based on really just solid revenue. The few people that really know and have seen and have been following ISRG believe in it. Again, very small short interest, very steady growth. Look at the revenue. This is going back to stuff that I covered in the other video. So I just wanted to talk about one other thing on this chart. In this video, which I did previously estimate that the ceiling this time around was going to be around the $1,100 mark. And that was really estimated off of the short-term inevitable rise to hit this top growth trend line, which we have never gotten over. And I just think that when we get in that area, or as I said in the previous video, that's when investors are going to start to say, okay, maybe this valuation is a little bit rich, and there wouldn't be as many buyers to support continued growth in the stock price. In the short term, we would see a bit of a pullback into support, possibly to the $900 mark before some consolidation. And so I went back and I wanted to add a Fibonacci retracement to just sort of confirm that analysis, retracing from the breakout from the previous all-time high, which is around 579, to this new high from last September around 780. And as you can see, we came out, we hit that, we saw some consolidation, and we ended up really breaking out again from the 780 level this April and going on this huge run that we've gone on now, past this 161.8% line at 900, and now approaching our 261.8% line, which is right around 1100. It's at 1095.85. So I think that does reiterate for me the short-term cap on this, at least from a technical perspective. But don't count out possible momentum that could be generated from media exposure to this split, and we certainly have time, as we mentioned. So where's the next level? It's way up here at 1413.7, 1413.7. Now that may seem extreme, but again, look at the rarefied air that this company is placed in. It's among Visa, Apple, and Amazon as far as share price growth and revenue generation and valuation metrics. This is a great company, and up until last July, it had been fairly stagnant for a full 2 years there, going back to summer of 2018. So this breakout, which has now gone on for over a year, it could still certainly have some more life left in it. This will be the tester. Do we break through 1095 or do we get rejected right there? And I think the real difference maker will be, if mainstream retail and other investors will buy into, a little bit of a hype, and if the word can kind of get out there to people that haven't previously bought in, because the people that do know about this stock are certainly all in, they're on board, they're not selling, they're riding it out for the win. It doesn't appear that there's going to be another share buyback in the immediate future, but certainly they're not going to let the price fall too low, and if it does drop down, the board is going to look to pick up some of those shares at a little bit of a discount. So what we're looking for is institutional and retail investors that haven't really followed ISRG in the past to get involved over the course of the next month and a half leading up to the split, like they have in other situations with Tesla, Apple, Nvidia, etc. So it's not unheard of. Again, this is the kind of company that can generate the kind of returns that those other companies do as well to justify that sort of media hype. So it's just a matter of getting the word out there, and if you built it, they will come. So we'll have to just wait and see what happens. The test is going to be at this 1095 level. Do we break through, or do we get rejected? So I imagine over the course of the next month and a half, at some point, I'm going to have to do another follow-up video, and we'll discuss what happens when we hit 1095, whether that's a hard rejection or a momentous breakthrough. Maybe both. Who knows? Maybe maybe there'll be one or two more videos in this series before we get to the split. But today, let me just look one more time. I think we hit a new all-time high today, as we have a few times recently. So the momentum continues. 1040 now today is the new all-time high. So we've still got about 55 points to go until we get to that test level and things really get exciting. And I couldn't tell you what the timeline on that's going to be. Again, I'm still surprised to see now that this split news has been out for a while. This company has been doing so well for so long, and yet when I go on Seeking Alpha and YouTube and I try and find other people talking about this stock, there just aren't any. So again, kudos to Abel for bringing this one to my attention, because I certainly hadn't heard of it until he did. But wow, what an incredible company. And just on top of everything now, this split news, it really is just a cherry on the top of the sundae. So I'm excited to watch and see what happens over the next month and a half. Let me know what you guys are thinking, and hopefully there'll be another video coming out talking about breaking through that 1095 level in a couple of weeks, but we'll have to wait and see. So comment below, like, and subscribe. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.